In today's episode, I want to talk about how we can be in situations where people will share an opinion or derail us with, I don't think you should be doing this, or unless you're painting in oils, you're not really an artist, or, if you want to class yourself as an artist, you need to be making a full-time living. All of these opinions I want to talk about today. I've had some situations recently where I've been around other people and heard their opinions. And it can be really easy in those moments when you hear these things to derail and to either go off into a completely different direction because you think that what you're doing is not good enough, or it has the opposite effect where you just go insular and you just want to hide away because now you're afraid that you're going to be viewed or perceived in this negative way. So that's what I want to get under the surface of today. So there was a couple of situations recently where I felt uncomfortable, and one of them was I was talking to someone about how I like to help artists and I help people at usually beginning stages or at a stage of struggle. So for me, I help people who've either had a big long break from art and they're just getting back into it and they don't know where to start and they don't know what to do. Complete beginners, or people who've been making art for a long time but they're struggling, they're just not making traction, they're not selling, they're not getting anywhere, and they need some help. And they're the kind of people that I love helping. That's what strives me to do what I do. And I was talking to someone about this, a journalist, and it was really interesting because they turned around to me and said, we were talking about getting featured in magazines and publications and things like that. And this person said to me, well, show me a story of where you've taught someone how to become a millionaire with their artwork, and then I'll be interested in featuring you. And I was just like, oh, and it was just a really interesting conversation because one, I just thought, oh, this is what is wrong, in my opinion. It's amazing if people get to earn £1 million dollars from their artwork. Absolutely amazing. And yes, I think we should be sharing those stories 100% because I think it's inspiring. I think it's exciting. I love reading about it. But it's not the be all and end all. And actually sharing stories and people, everyday people who are in the trenches in those early days, who are making those first few sales and then the next few sales is really important. And it's important that we share that. And that's why I've created this platform to share that, because we don't just make a million overnight. And sometimes most of us might never get to 1 million, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that we haven't succeeded. Success is not based on the amount that you make from your art, I don't believe. So that's just one part of it. It's fantastic if people can get to that monetary level, but that does not define an artist's success. And there's a lot of emphasis put on how much an artwork is worth, then based on how much success that artist or artwork has. And so it's a shame because that then brings on this kind of insecurity in people that if I'm not earning loads of money from my art, then I'm not successful, it's not having its impact, and there's so many other variables. And that conversation then, it can lead your head into thinking, oh my gosh, you start to question, should I be doing more to help people make 1 million? And so I noticed that yeah, we're not aligned, first of all, but there were some little thoughts coming into my head, thinking, gosh, should I be doing this? Should I be doing more? Should I be doing blah, 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 blah? And it's the same when we're making art as well. And that's where the thought came from, was that one conversation. I then got into another situation with a group of people, and I can't quite recall. But again, what I find is sitting here in my dining room recording these episodes, I'm in my comfort zone. I know my people, my platform is safe, and go out of this situation into other arenas, sharing what I do then makes me vulnerable. And then you get other people questioning, right, what are you doing that for? And, and they'll share their opinion. And again, it can derail you. And then also sometimes it can make you feel inferior. You feel like you're just all of a sudden not as good as these people that I'm now around. And this happens a lot in the art world, because what you're seeing in the art world is lots of messages and it's prolific, isn't it? Art is everywhere on social media, and so you're probably reading different opinions on what makes a great artist. You're probably seeing from other artists sharing their point of view of being an artist and what that means, and it then starts to make you question what being an artist actually is, the definition of being an artist. And also it can then start to fill your head with stories around, I'm self-taught, so this is always going to be a problem for me. I'm self-taught, I'm never going to be able to get to this level of earning this amount of money because I'm teaching myself, I don't have the skill. I create in using recycled items, so therefore I'm never going to get past this amount. How can I charge this amount if I'm using recycled materials? Who's going to pay that? I'm a crafter. I've seen in the world, I'm just making these up now, these are not my opinions. I've seen in the world, people don't rate craft. They think it's a lower art form. You know, fine artists are the ones that demand the millions and the thousands and the hundreds of thousands. I'm an illustrator, I'm this, I'm that. My subject matter, this is one that's been coming through to me a lot recently, is a lot of people have been saying, you know, I'm teaching a course at the minute, the 7 Keys, and we're going through this program together. It's really amazing. A lot of people are kind of stirring into types of artwork they'd like to make, and they're scared to put it out there because they're scared of being judged, and they're scared of being like, what if people don't connect with this? Who's going to buy this? I just don't understand who would buy this. And it's one of the biggest barriers to success. It's one of the biggest areas I see artists go wrong, is when they try and predict the future. They try and predict, well, I'm this and I'm that, therefore this isn't going to happen. I'm an illustrator, so that I won't be able to get to this price point. I'm dark, it's from a really weird dark place, who's going to pay for that? And so yeah, you start to then question, am I valid in this situation? I just want to go and hide away now. I just don't feel good enough. Someone might even make a comment and say, oh my god, you're self-taught. Oh, you know, good luck with that. And then it just makes you go, oh, I'm going to hide now. And this will happen throughout the whole of your life, and it's really good to be aware. So we're doing a lot of work in the 7 Keys at the moment on this, but I wanted to bring it up because I see it a lot at the moment, people questioning, but I'm this, but I'm that. I just don't see how it could work. I don't see how my art could get out in the world. I don't understand who would buy it. And so at that point of feeling that, you know, I have to sit here and say that I've worked in this industry now for years, and I have seen every single type of artwork selling. I mean, it's crazy the amount of different types of artists that I've worked with and seen, and quite often you're judging the world through your lens. So you might have an artwork that you feel is dark, that you feel, I would never put that on my wall, but you're just judging that through your lens. And it might be you're judging it through a few people that you know who would never have an artwork like that on their wall. And this is why being very aware of what is going on in the world and looking for people who have similar values and missions and interests as you is really important, because you'll find that there's so many different types of art used in so many different ways. And there are lots of dark pieces of art out in the world that people love to buy. And in fact, I've come across an artist this week called Lincoln Townley. He's a British artist, and I can't believe I've never come across him before. It's made me really think how I want to get out and start looking at art and looking at more contemporary artists and seeing what's going on in the world. Because I've just been reading about this artist, Lincoln Townley, who's based in Yorkshire in the UK. He only started creating art, I think it was 10 years ago, when he was 40. And he started creating art and he started to approach people. And he says that he approached 97 galleries that said no in those early days. He had so many rejections. So he was making this dark artwork and approaching people and no, and like just kept getting rejected and just kept going and going and going because he believed in the art. And I think I read somewhere where he said, if you've got enough grit and enough determination to keep going, you will succeed. And so he just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. And now, fast forward to today, his artwork is represented by some of the biggest galleries in the world. And his latest collection, which is just about to exhibit this week in London, has just pre-sold for, I think it's £3 million. And he's self-taught, completely self-taught, using stencils, painting. There's just a fantastic Instagram reel where he's talking about this, and it's just so refreshing to hear, because, and I'm sharing this because I see a lot of people hiding or getting derailed by these stories of being self-taught and being rejected and being rejected and being rejected. So that must mean there's not a place for me. It must be a sign. This is another thing that I hear. It must be a sign not to do it. It's like, no, it's not a sign not to do it. That's you looking for a reason not to go through the pain anymore. Because it is difficult. You are going to get rejected. And it isn't going to just happen overnight. And finding that determination to keep going and really living and breathing what you're doing is so important. And you can have success, but it won't happen overnight. And that's been 10 years later for this artist, Lincoln Townley. But self-taught, using stencils that a lot of people feel, well, at that price, you should be laboring, it should be taking you hours, you should be, it's just, there are no rules. If you find your thing and you care about it and you want to get it out in the world, and you find that sweet spot where someone likes what you have and you have it, boom, there's a sale. And it's just such an exciting process. And sometimes when we hide behind this, but it's dark, who's going to buy it? And if you just think that way, if you keep putting the limitations, like, I'm self-taught, I'm never going to get anywhere, I'm not going to earn this, it's too dark, who's going to buy it? If you keep trying to predict the future, based on the stories that you're hearing, based on what is actually happening, the rejections, based on what someone's maybe said about your work and said, no, it's just not this, it's not commercial, it's not this, it's not that, it can start to fill your head with, I should change direction and maybe I should just give up. And that's just why I wanted to share this today, because I have recently been in a few situations where I felt vulnerable and questioned what I'm doing and questioned myself. And, oh my gosh, am I going to make myself look silly if I push this out into a different place? Like, I've been thinking recently, I know I want to do more talks, and my platform is my safety zone. It's my comfort zone. And taking this out of this arena where I'm in right now is vulnerable. And that's how it can feel for your art. It's vulnerable. Your art is so personal, and taking it out of whatever your comfort zone is, it might just be out of your kitchen table right now, and you're sharing it somewhere, it can be so vulnerable and scary. Or it might be that you've already started putting your work out there, but it's pushing it to that next level, maybe in front of someone who terrifies you, who you've put on a pedestal, and they're the scary person. You think they're just going to laugh at me. So it's all these feelings and these stories that we're painting constantly in our heads. And like, are they going to laugh at me? Am I stupid? Am I this? I'm these labels. I'm an illustrator, I'm a crafter, it's not going to happen. Oils is the medium that sells more. It's all these stories that we fill and fuel ourselves with to paint this picture of why it's not going to happen for us, or this is never going to happen for me because of this. And it's prevalent at the moment because I'm teaching the 7 keys, so I'm seeing it coming through the people who are taking the 7 keys course. It's all coming to the surface. And I wanted to just share that with you all this week, to just really be mindful of those stories. I talk about it all the time, but also, if you create dark artwork, go and find other people that create dark artwork. Go and look for them. Go and be inspired by them. If you feel that because you're an eco artist, you're never going to sell eco because it's impossible. How could you justify selling? Go and find people that are doing it. There are people out there, and it's time to kind of broaden your horizons and look and find people. We've got the internet at our fingertips. And I'm excited because as we go through the 7 Keys course, those who are listening and taking the 7 Keys, this is what we're going to start working towards. So I wanted to share that. Don't let those stories keep you back. Don't let the self-taught, the age. This is another one I keep seeing a lot recently. I feel like I've left it too late. I'm this age now. It really does not matter what age you are. It really doesn't. And I think out of all the professions in the world, people don't care how old you are when they buy an artwork from you. I just don't know anyone who has bought an artwork and asked how old the artist is. It's not a question that comes up. No one cares. If they do, then that's on them. I've been in this for well over 10 years now, this industry. Nobody ever has questioned in the whole of me doing this how old an artist is, only out of interest, not because it's going to be a decider. So I think that's exciting because it's one of the industries actually where age doesn't matter. There could be other industries where they have an age bracket, and like dancing, and then once you hit 24, you're too old then to dance anymore. And so that doesn't happen in art. And in fact, I think with age, we get better because being an artist is about bringing your experience, your feelings. When you're older, you have so much more to say. You have many more experiences. It's not to say that you can't make great art as a young person, of course, because you have something to say, but there are so many benefits to being older and being an artist, because you've got all that experience and knowledge and feeling behind you to put into the work. And the whole age thing is just irrelevant. So I just think it's interesting more than anything to know how old an artist is. So I share this as well because there are people that I've spoken to over the last few months that have shared stories with me and said, I've been speaking to a friend and it just wasn't working for them. They made a few art pieces. Nobody was really liking them or commenting on them, and they've just stopped making art now. And it breaks my heart. And I met with one of our members, Chris, about this as well. And he was saying how he had a friend who was kind of looking at the art making process as this ultimatum, like if I'm not going to make it, then I'll just stop. I'll give it this deadline. If I haven't made it by this point, then I'm just going to stop making art. Like, why? And that's another thing I wanted to share is like, you don't have to have a dead end and an ultimatum for yourself. I mean, it's good to have deadlines. People who know me know I like to have a deadline. I like to have goals. But it's such a shame when people just stop making art because they're not getting the visibility or success that they have pinned on it. So I'm not getting the likes. I'm not selling anything. I'm not this, I'm not that. So therefore, I'm just going to stop. And that makes me sad because as much as possible to just keep going, making anyway, regardless of whether you're selling or not, or whether you feel that you're a success in other people's eyes or your own eyes. Never take that making part away from yourself just because you didn't succeed in your way or whatever that is, because you're denying yourself of something. It's like singing. I'm never going to be a singer. I'm pretty terrible at singing, but just because I can't sing doesn't mean I'm going to stop singing. Oh my gosh, my kids wish I would, but I sit and sing in the car. I sing all the time. I love it. It's freeing. I love singing at the top of my voice. I love going around to Sharon's and we dance and we sing. We can't sing a note, but it doesn't mean we should stop. And so creativity is the same thing. Just in your eyes, if you don't feel like you're good enough or it's not ticking boxes for other people, does not mean you should stop. And this is another thing that people get in their heads around. It's an expensive hobby and I shouldn't be doing it. And the guilt comes through. And again, it's other people's opinions. They're worried because what people are going to think of me. I'm making this art and it's not going anywhere. I'm not showing it. I'm not doing anything. But art it's an expression. And my art now comes out in completely different ways. It used to be a painting. I still do paint sometimes, but my creativity, my art now is written, and I create art through words, and I really do feel like it's an art. It's the same process for writing as it is for actually the painting. It's just the application is different. And so I think that, again, it's that perception. Sometimes I hear people say that they feel guilty because it's this expensive hobby, but actually when you add up what you're spending on other things, that what the art brings you is, it's so healing, and it helps you understand more about yourself and about the world. And the process is therapeutic. We all know that. That's why art therapy is one of the biggest therapies. And so again, though, it's removing yourself away from these perceptions, what other people think. And if you want to make the art, make the art. Don't stop because it's not getting me here, it's not making me enough money, it's not ticking boxes, it's not getting me the likes or the comments, nobody's interested. That's not a good enough reason to stop. So this is a bit of a muddled up podcast episode today. I don't think I have a clear message. I just wanted to download some things that are on my mind, some things that are cropping up as I go through the 7 Keys course, and I see these frustrations in people and messages from people giving up and doing these things and getting derailed by opinions and what art is and why I should be making it. And at the end of the day, we're here, we're breathing. Just make the art if you want to make it. Don't stop for anyone else. Don't do it for anyone else. It has to come from you initially. And know that there's a place for everyone in the art world. I truly, truly believe that there is a place for everybody. You just have to get out your own way and find the place and carve out the place, not even find it, make it, create it. You can create your own art world. You can create your own pocket of people in the world. You can create art in any way that you want. There are no rules. You can do whatever you want, whatever medium, and find people out there and engage them. So there we are. There's the message. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like me to answer specific questions over on Instagram, if you go and find us on Instagram at United Art Space, go over there, go and follow us on Instagram, because I'm starting to do Q&A sessions where I answer questions in 60 seconds. So there is a post somewhere on Instagram. If you go over there, you can go and have a look. I think it's in the reels or on our stories. Go and have a look. You can actually submit a question and I'll answer the question on Instagram, or I might answer it on a podcast episode. So go over to Instagram at United Art Space, go and follow us. I'll see you over there, and go and check out those 60-minute Q&A sessions that I'm doing. Have a wonderful, 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 wonderful week, you lovely, lovely people, and take good care. Okay, bye-bye.